Thanks for staying with us this morning. We're at the Kansas Wheat Commission building here in Manhattan, Kansas. We're joined by Daryl Strouts with Kansas Wheat Alliance. Daryl, thanks for joining us.
Pleasure to be here.
Last time we got together, we were talking about a new beta program that you and Ray as a beta had started working on. We take a picture of your wheat and kind of get an idea of what, how much wheat you're going to get. So let's talk about, we're kind of through planting season. We know that Everest and Danby were the number one wheats this year. Everest was the number one overall, about 15% of the total market. But we've got some new products coming out. 1863 was a new one that you guys kind of launched last year, but it's kind of starting to pick up speed.
Right, so 1863 has been out for, this is the second year now that farmers will have a chance to get some of that seed. And it's really adapted well in the north central part of Kansas, but we also see it in the central region and then even to the south central. And we've got some producers actually in Oklahoma that had some good luck with it this past year. So it's a little later in maturity, kind of gives you, to help you spread out your risk because Everest can be a little early or some of those other early varieties. So if you want something that will complement those early varieties, 1863 is a good choice. Also very good quality, so the millers and the bakers like 1863 as well.
How do we get 1863 to the market?
Well, I mean, any wheat variety started, probably 10 or 12 years ago. The wheat breeder made some crosses. In the case of 1863, they crossed 3 different varieties. One was Overly, that everybody I think can remember having. Carl 92, another good K-State variety, and then one that came from AgriPro called Cutter. So those 3 varieties were crossed with each other. The resultant cross then the breeder evaluates over a number of years, kind of cleans it up because some of these things will segregate and they'll be real ragged looking, so we want to get them nice and uniform out there. And then eventually the breeder will release that as a variety. So 1863 came out that way. Then the rights to market that are turned over to Kansas Wheat Alliance. We get it to our seed producer group, who then eventually get certified seed out to farmers. So it's a process that can take 10 to 12 years pretty easily.
1863, what's the best quality of that wheat that you think that most farmers like about it? Is it drought tolerant?
So 1863, I think yield is one of the many benefits of it. Also, it's got good resistance to leaf rust and stripe rust right now. So if we ever get back in a wetter pattern, I think we'll really see that's a variety that's going to do well, for farmers. And then, of course, the quality, the physical quality of the grain for the milling and baking industry really helps out too.
Well, I know in the long run it takes multiple years to get something to market, and I know the work that you guys do not only in this building but across the street at K-State pays off. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about CanMark, which was a new release last year also. You're watching kansasAGreport. We'll see you in just a minute.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center. Your stem cells, your health, your life. Farmers Insurance, your best protection against the unexpected. Call Agent Dan Key at 785-408-5459. Grass and Grain, online or in the mail, keeping Kansas farmers informed for over 60 years. grassandgrain.com. Blue River Traders, the finest selection of Western-style furniture for your home. BlueRiverTraders.com.
Thanks for staying with us. We're in Manhattan at the Kansas Wheat Commission building, and we're joined by Daryl Strouts from the Kansas Wheat Alliance. First segment, we were kind of talking about 1863, but Daryl, there's a lot more other seeds available, new seeds, new varieties, new opportunities for wheat farmers. Kind of run us through some of those.
Right, Brian, we're just right at the beginning, I think, of several new varieties coming out, and the ones that got coming out this year that farmers they've seen them in test plots, but now they're starting to hear more about them. One would be Oakley CL. It's a red wheat for western Kansas. It's got one of the Clearfield genes in it. Should be really good out there. It's got stripe rust resistance, leaf rust resistance, and wheat streak mosaic resistance. An interesting package for western Kansas. I think they'll benefit. CanMark is another new one that farmers will be able to get in the central part of the state and even out into western Kansas this year. It's got some really good drought tolerance, and it's something we haven't seen maybe in some of the K-State lines for a while. So that's something to look at. And then another interesting release is Hot Rod, which is a new line out of K-State that we've licensed to a group called AgSeco, and they'll be marketing that one. And it's really well adapted to south central Kansas, so really good yield potential. But because of the way that it reacts to the environment sometime, we wanted to make sure that it was safe. It's kind of one of these race horses, and so we want to see it in a blend. Right. And so that's the only way producers will get to have Hot Rod is in this blend. And there'll be several different blends, but the one that we're really promoting right now is called the Wabash blend, which will be Hot Rod, Everest, and 1863. And that gives us a nice combination of good quality, high yield capability, kind of spread out risks as far as diseases and the environmental stresses go. And so we think it's going to be really successful. So I encourage producers to look for the Wabash blend in the K-State performance test this year.
And will that be available? Was it available this year, or will it be available next year possibly?
Just the fall 2015 will be the first time that, that producers will be able to get Hot Rod, the Wabash blend, or Canmark.
I'm not even going to ask where we came up with the Wabash blend, but I'm only wondering where we came up with that name. Anything on the horizon? We've got about a minute left here in this segment.
We've always got new things coming down the pike right now. Right off the bat, we've got a new white wheat for western Kansas that's kind of queued up, ready to go this fall. Got our fingers crossed that we won't have some disaster this year, but I think that's something we can look forward to for the producers in the western part of the state, is another new good quality white wheat.
And not only that, but we've got to think about the people who are in the eastern part of Kansas, and not only that, but southern part of Kansas that grow hard red winter wheat, so not necessarily the soft type.
That's right. Yep. So we're primarily hard red winter wheat throughout most of Kansas, a little bit of white wheat out west.
Perfect. Daryl, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Remember, wheat doesn't just show up in the grocery store. It takes someone to grow it. It takes someone to make it, as well as scientists to come up with blends that work well for everybody. Thank you, Daryl, for joining us. You're watching Kansas Ag Report. See you in just a minute.